Greetings from sunny South Florida. It's time for the Palm Beach Podcast. And the hosts of your show, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer. Photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Recorded live at the Media Zone Podcast Studio in Palm Beach County. Relax and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones. I'm here with James Spencer and Mike Souza, not to be pronounced Souza.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked.
You're a player development coach, consultant for basketball players, correct?
Yes.
And how did you and James get to know each other?
James actually reached out to me on Instagram. From the way he was explaining it to me was he had another guy on the show, Brendan, right?
Yep.
Is that his name? Brendan works with an NBA client that I also work with. And I guess you basically just saw that I was working out with the same guy that he was working out.
Correct. Yeah, just a mutual picture, mutual friends. And I just started looking at a little bit of your content, and it resonated with me and the message that you were promoting. And
that's awesome.
That's kind of how I started following your content.
Yeah.
So how did you get started with basketball? Where did it all start?
Oh, man.
Honestly, I love it.
That's
the question.
You're
baby.
talking. I couldn't even tell you, man. I think when you say that, I think of like Black Eyed Peas and the Miami Heat with my stepdad sitting on a fucking couch.
Well, it's a good thing we have a whole fridge full of White Claws.
Okay,
so
I'm
you
in.
can tell us the whole story.
I think, you know what? I think Brendan said the same thing. He said very
Did he?
similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
No
very
kidding.
similar.
To me or to him?
No, to us. He said, I don't know if you guys have enough time. And I said, well, ironically, we got 3 extra hours.
Oh, you know what? I did see that clip. Yeah. So my family doesn't come from like an athletic background whatsoever. Ironically, neither does my stepdad. He's like super heavy, but he's a Gator fan. So hopefully
Go
you guys
Gators.
don't, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Don't crucify me. So my stepdad was a Gator fan, and every night he would sit outside on the patio and watch the Gators play. And my dad was never like really around until like I turned like 18.
Mm-hmm.
So my stepdad kind of, he sunned me.
Yeah.
So he taught me basketball. He didn't teach me how to fucking move. That's
Did
for
he
sure.
play?
No, not at all.
Okay,
He
he was
probably
just-
could have played lineman. I'm
Okay.
not trying to make fun of him at all.
No,
but my
he's
dad,
just a big dude.
yeah, my stepdad is like, he's like a big analytical guy. He knows like where to be, when to be there. Physically, he probably just couldn't make that happen.
Sure.
But from knowing sports, like dude's a fucking genius. Yeah. So he would watch the Gators play, and I'd be like, oh, I want to do this. So I would watch the Gators play night in and night out, and then finally he signed me up for like a rec team. And that's where I was like, oh, I'm going to play for Billy Donovan by the time I graduate high school. I'm going to be a fucking Gator.
Everybody's a Billy D fan.
Oh, man. How could you not like the guy? He's fucking super handsome. He played great college basketball. He coaches in the NBA.
Perfect hair.
What's not? Yeah, perfect fucking hair. What's not
It's
to like?
important.
Yeah,
Those
no,
are important
I totally
things.
agree. Yeah, it's your appearance is
Yeah.
everything. So I'm playing basketball like my whole life since I was like maybe 5th grade. I get to high school, and I decide I want to drop out. My original father, or my biological father, gets arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up doing like a 10-year bid in federal prison.
Back up in New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, I don't want to play basketball. I don't want to do shit. I want to work. I want to work, and I want to play basketball whenever I want to play.
I respect that.
My stepdad is like a firm believer in learning from your own mistakes. And he probably wouldn't have let me drown, but he was going to make me learn. So I drop out. I get my GED, and I start college the same year as my graduating class. But like all the while, like I'm still playing basketball. I'm working like a full-time job. I'm 16. Really, I was 15 driving to and from work with a permit, which my mom wasn't happy about. But
It's that hustle, baby.
yeah. So I'm going to the gym every day, playing with a bunch of old guys. I'm the youngest guy there, probably one of like 2 white guys there. So I learned how to play basketball from just being around that atmosphere.
Sure.
One day, I get to the gym early. It's like 10:30 in the morning. And another guy shows up, and he has a FIBA ball. You did Canada basketball, so you know what FIBA ball is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a FIBA ball, and he's shooting. And I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, this guy's a fucking pro. and he's at the gym at 10:30. So I'm like, hey, let me rebound for you. And he was like, okay, sure. So I said, well, after we're done, he's done. I'm rebounding for him. We play 5-on-5. I'll never forget the possession. And if he sees this, he's gonna laugh about it. But I'm coming off of a pick and roll. And the next thing I know, something told me. I said, just throw it up there. I threw it up there, and he came down. And he hammered down the rim. It was a dunk. It was like euphoric, man. I'm like, holy shit, man. I just threw a lob to a pro. Like, I'm 16, 17 years old doing this. So I told him, I said, yeah, when you come back, let me know, and I'll rebound for you every day. And he was like, yeah, sure. So
I don't mean to cut you off. What made you say that? What made
that
you...
I wanted to rebound?
Yeah.
I love basketball.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I think what I love most about basketball is that it bridges so many gaps. Like, this is a 6'8" Bohemian black dude, and I'm like this. At the time, I was really scrawny white guy. And the camaraderie of basketball is so beautiful to me.
Yep.
I think you build great relationships. Even if you go to like a park, you go there consistently, you're going to build a friendship.
Sure.
And to me, that was like super important. And I fell in love with the game through that. And then it's really, if you watch it, it's just a beautiful game.
Yep.
Like the shit that these guys can do. Like you look at a guy like Kevin Durant. That dude's 7 feet tall, man. And he plays better at the rim than I do. He handles the ball better than I do. And I'm barely
100%.
I'm barely 6 foot. Well, I don't know about 100%.
And it really is a lot about the chemistry, because sometimes you get these super teams on paper.
Oh yeah.
But maybe they hold out or they don't practice.
Yeah,
and then the
that's
next
where
thing
like
you know,
egos come in. That's another thing. I mean, I can go all day on this shit, man. But basketball.
Again, we got 3 hours.
I'll cheers to that too. Basketball. These are great, by the way. This is my second White Claw. These are terrific.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. First time. But basketball will teach you life lessons. It's taught me how to talk to people. It taught me how to deal with situations, confrontations. There's been times I almost got my ass kicked, and then on the way home, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
Or I'm like, that guy's a fucking prick. He shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
But it taught me a ton. So anyway, after like a year of him coming back and forth, he came back. He had a season in Mexico, and he was like, I don't know what we did, but I played really good last season. What do you think about working me out this year? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So I read books. I'd watch, Gator basketball. I'd go home and tell my stepdad, there's this big guy who wants me to work him out. What do you think? Yeah, watch the game.
Love it.
See what guys are doing at his size, and then put him through situations like that. And that's what I did. So we spent the summer doing that. All the while, I skipped a few steps, but I went to college for hospitality.
Okay.
So I got my degree.
Yeah, you definitely skipped a few steps
Yeah.
because I think that's a vital piece of information.
Yeah. I went to college for hospitality and tourism management.
Where'd you go?
Palm Beach State.
Okay.
They had for me it was lucrative because they had a 2-year program condensed into 1 year. And I'm like, this is perfect. I go 4 days a week. I finish in 1 year. I fucking hated school.
Time management.
I couldn't do it. I'm looking back. I made a lot of mistakes. If I had like a coach to really like kind of guide me through that,
sure.
I probably would have been better off. But one of my best friends says, "Oh, you always embrace your basketball journey," and to me, that's my journey. I fucked up. I learned from it, and then unfortunately, I created a business out of it. So it's pretty sweet. So I went to school for hospitality. I get a job at a country club, and I'm like a dining room manager. The country club lifestyle is brutal. Mm-hmm. Like you get there at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. You don't leave till midnight, maybe after that. So I would work this guy out at 5:30 in the morning. We'd work out outside. I'd go home, shower, and then shoot straight to work. Then I'd come home, get home at some nights maybe you get off early, 10 o'clock. I was in Delray at the time.
Okay.
Then I come home, do the same thing, and repeat it. So then I was like, oh, maybe I should make a video, and I'll start a social media account. And I'll just videotape this guy, and he could put it on his social media.
What year was this?
Right when this all started kind of
booming?
Yeah, 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is, damn, that's a long fucking time ago.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why it's important, because not only have you been doing it for a while, you're doing it well.
Yeah. I mean, at least I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I'd watch the game. I'd say, okay, he's 6'8", this guy is 6'8". I'm just going to come out and do some stuff that he does. And I'll try to teach it as best I can with the most detail I could give him. That way it didn't seem like just repetition.
And for everybody watching, yes, we are all 6'8".
Yes.
I know it's
I'm actually slouch at horrible posture for 6'8".
Yeah.
So, I'm working this dude outdoors. He goes away again. Now, overseas basketball, the seasons are really different. You could have an 8-month season, you could have a 6-month season, or you could be in like a 3-month tournament. So he goes away and he goes in a 3-month tournament. He texts me after 2 months and says, "This is the best season I've ever had. I got a raise.
Love it. Love it.
I want, when I come back, I want you to start this as a business by the time I get back." So I tell my wife, I don't know if we were married at the time. I think we got married in 2015, but we're living together. We're practically fucking married, right? I tell my wife, I'm like, "Oh, I think I'm going to, try this out. What do you think?" She said, "Yeah, go for it. As long as you're paying the bills, I don't care." So I'm working at the country club.
I respect that.
Yeah, I was at the time. My wife is like my backbone.
Because that's a big decision right there.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So my wife is awesome. Sometimes she's a pain in the ass, but she's awesome.
Deep down, you know she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. She's the sweetest. She'll probably be mortified that I White Claw without her. Anyway, so she's big on the Trulies. Do you guys drink those or no?
No.
No?
We're loyal.
Okay.
He says it. Look at him.
Hey, that's like saying Voldemort in here, bro.
Is it really?
It's
All right,
like
my bad.
the words that shall not be said.
So I tell her, I said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it. Maybe I'll do it part-time. I won't interfere with anything, and I'll still work the job." She says, "Yeah, go for it." So I'm at local parks, and I see this kid. His name's Jacoby Neath. Like, this is, to me, is like important. I'm in a neighborhood. I'm playing pickup. Me and a bunch of my guy friends were just hooping, and I see this kid, and this kid's pretty fucking good, but he's like Bambi. Like, I could tell him, like, the kid could be good, but he looks like he just bought his body and is, like, getting used to it, which is funny to see. And you have a kid, so you could appreciate that, right?
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm saying to myself, I'm like, kid's like Bambi, but he could be pretty good. So I tell him, I said, "Listen, man, why don't you let me work you out?" And he says, "Well, I go to Canada every summer, and I work out in Canada." I said, "Well, okay, until you go to fucking Canada, let me work you out." And he's like, "All right, let me talk to my parents." So he messages me on Twitter, and he's like, "Oh, I want to work out. Can you still work me out?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's do it." He said, "But you got to meet my mom and my dad." And I'm like, "All right, no problem."
Done deal.
So I go home, and he's like, "And then tell him you talk to my dad about how much it costs." So I go home, and I tell my wife, I'm like, "I don't know what I'm charging, and I need a really good fucking outfit." So she's like, "All right."
This.
So I tell my wife, I'm like, I map all this shit out, man. I get a fucking spreadsheet going on my computer. I'm telling my wife, I'm like, "You iron the fucking clothes. I'm going to make this shit look legit on a laptop."
I love it.
So I grab my laptop, I pack up. Go ahead. You were going to say
Just
something?
gonna say that's great teamwork.
Yeah. So I'm like getting ready to get in the car. My wife's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to meet the fucking parents." And she goes, "Well, I'm coming with you." So I go, "Okay, well, change your fucking outfit and look pretty."
Let's go.
So we get in the car. We get there. We meet the dad at, he's actually one of my best friends. I consider him a father figure now.
That's awesome, man.
So I meet him at his clubhouse in Royal Palm. And the guy walks in with fucking gym shorts, flip-flops, and a T-shirt. And I go, "I fucking dressed way too nice for this shit."
He's a dude.
Yeah. So he's chill. He's a Jamaican guy, right? So he's super chill. So I sit down, I pull out my fucking computer, and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, "Make sure when you figure out what I'm going to charge a guy, you let me know so I could tell him." So she's like, "Tell me you're going to charge him $30 a workout." So I said, "Okay." So I pull out my computer. I'm like, "This is what I'm going to do with your son. I got percentages. I'm going to track his shooting percentages. We're going to work out every day, and I'm going to line it up just like this." And he says, "Listen, just make my son better." He says, "I don't care about none of this shit. Make him better. If you don't make him better, I'm going to know. If you make him better, I'll know." I said, "Okay." So we start.
That's huge.
The next day, I pick the kid up at 4:30 in the morning. I pick him up at 4:30. I take him to LA Fitness at 5. We work out for an hour. Workout was terrific. Wasn't even worried about it. It's 6 o'clock. I tell him, I say, "You hit the shower." This is LA. It's like really convenient at the time. So I hit the shower, and I'll take you to school. So I take him to school. I drop him off. He gives me $30. I go home. I shower, get dressed, put my fucking suit on, and I go and I do the country club all fucking day.
Right.
I did that for like 3 weeks. The dad calls me. "My son's getting better." I said, "All right, good." I said, "So what's the hang up?" He says, "Well, I can't afford to pay you right now." And I go, "Fuck." I said, "Okay." I said, "Give me a day to think about it, and I'll get back to you." So I go home, and I tell my wife, I'm like, "I put 3 weeks into this kid." I'm like, and the father didn't know at the time, but I would take the $30 he gave me, and I'd stop and I'd get the kid breakfast before we go to school. I didn't want to be a hang up on me that the kid's going to school without eating breakfast and he's falling asleep in class. So
You're a good dude, man.
Yeah. So I'm telling my wife, I said, "Listen," and my wife she's Puerto Rican and Italian, but she's cheap. Like, she is.
We got
cheap.
common ground. My wife's Puerto Rican.
Is she? Okay, cool. So my wife is like down to the nickel and dime.
Right.
and I'm telling her, I'm like, listen, I'm going to do it anyway, but I need to know in my heart that you're okay, that I dedicate this amount of time to a kid this early in the morning, and I'm going to be working with his dad around the clock to make him better. If you really think so, go for it. I believe you. That kid now is playing in the ACC and playing for Wake Forest, which is like the highest academic school in the ACC.
Hey, cheers to that, bro.
Yeah, right?
That's
So
cool
cheers
shit
to
right
you,
there.
Love
Jacoby.
that, man.
That kid's a shit, man.
That's cool
I
shit.
love that fucking kid, man.
You should love your wife too.
I love her too. Yeah.
Because that was a big decision on her
My
end.
goodness.
Well, skip that part of the story too. I've been with my wife since I was 12.
Oh, shit.
I'm 28 now. So
Shit.
I've been, we were on and off when
That's
we were kids, right? But, I'm 12 years old and she's 13, and she kind of grew up in my household. My two brothers, who are like my best friends, don't know life without my wife. So pretty interesting, right?
That's actually a good quote.
Is it?
Yeah.
We're going to hashtag it, or
Life
we're
without my wife.
life without my wife? Yeah, that'd be my brother. So my brothers don't know anything. They don't know life without her. Yeah, it's the truth. So I've been with her for a long time. So she knows me in and out. I know her in and out.
That's awesome, man.
Now, granted, listen, we were on and off for a period of time, but she grew up in my house.
That's awesome.
So
And she's from Palm Beach.
she was same situation as me, but both her parents moved down here from Point Pleasant. So she was like 4 or 5 years old when she came to Florida.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I middle school.
Dude, I
sweethearts.
love the story. It's unique. My aunt and uncle, same thing. Downtown Chicago, neighbors. They've been married ever since they were 10 years old. Literally.
That's sick.
They've been together since they were 10, got married, and we literally just celebrated their 50-year wedding anniversary, and that's something special, man. That's
Yeah,
something you
that's
should
awesome.
be proud of.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. I am. Like when my father got arrested and I was in like a downward spiral. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do shit. She was like really the one there to set me up and get my life together. She's like, you're going to do this. This is how you're going to get your GED. I'm going to sign you up for college courses. You'll start the same year your graduating class would start.
That's awesome.
College. And yeah, she totally fucking set me up, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
I like hearing that.
Hey, but you still had to go out there and execute.
No, for sure. Time is like a big sacrifice, and I'm sure both of you guys know this, right? So especially when you have two kids, I've had to turn down jobs because the timing was just horrible. I've turned down a good amount of money to work with a high-level guy, but the timing was horrible, and my kids and my wife are that's my biggest value right there. I put all of my...
Cheers to that.
Yeah, so my family is big. I told you, we do Sunday dinners. Like, family time is a big thing for me. So...
Sunday dinners, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do believe that you can meet the right person at the wrong time. It's just one of those things where the stars were not aligned that day. you know?
Yeah. So it's happened a few times, but so that's kind of what led me to where I was.
So what are you doing now for our listeners in Palm Beach County, working with local athletes, pro athletes, anybody at the gym?
Yeah, so
tell us a little bit about that.
I partner actually with a company called Perseverance Basketball.
Okay.
He's one of my best friends. He runs, and I kind of just orchestrate in the summer, and then whenever he needs me throughout the year. It's a White Claw.
Let it out.
It was good though, man.
Rather out than in.
That was a phenomenal belch for me right there. So
I love it, dude. I love it.
He runs camps. This dude is like unreal. Like, you talk about like the ultimate sacrifice, it's Nate Vera.
Yeah.
Like, this guy, it doesn't matter if somebody told him, if you slept outside in the pouring rain for 2.5 hours, I'll give you that opportunity, and that opportunity could be this big, but he's still gonna do it.
That's
because
impressive.
he's that dedicated.
That's impressive.
So he is actually he runs leagues, clinics, camps, academies, you name it. Anything basketball wise for youth level is ran through Perseverance. And I like to say it's probably the biggest and most instructional basketball company in Palm Beach County.
Huge.
Yeah. So what's great about that is, I don't want to get too off topic.
No,
but,
this is good.
Okay. In my... I'm trying to figure out a way I could fucking put this so they'll understand it too. I know you have some basketball background, so you'll get it. But in my market or in my business, it's become oversaturated. Like, it's watered down. If I turn a corner, there's guaranteed in 5 miles from here, there's a basketball trainer. He may not be up to the pedigree that I am or another guy is, but they're everywhere now. And they lower the market because their prices are dirt cheap, right? So it doesn't cost you anything. Basketball is the cheapest sport to play. A ball and a pair of sneakers.
Sure.
You don't need a fucking hockey helmet. You don't need pads for football. Yeah, that shit. You just show up to the park and you can play. You really don't even need gym time. But what Nate does, or I'm sorry, let me get back to that. It's a competitive business that I'm in. And what people are failing to see is that these kids are getting so skilled. And that's great. I think that's awesome. In the game of basketball, they're learning the skill. They're getting crafty. They're getting quick. You look at that guy, you go, he's skilled. But then when you put him in a game, he doesn't know jack shit about basketball because he's only worked on his skill and he's never worked on his feel for the game.
Sure.
You know, like in any sport, a quarterback could just be like a robot, but if he can make that read, he's going to make the right pass, right?
Sure.
So in basketball, it's the same exact way. But now you're getting an influx of high school players that are skilled, but they don't know how to play the right way.
Sure.
But what we do at Perseverance Basketball Camp is like any other company, at least I like to think, we teach the game the right way. Mm-hmm. So when you come into a league, you could be an 8-year-old honky that doesn't know how to play, or you could be a phenomenal athlete that doesn't know how to play, but we're going to teach you.
Yep.
And everybody's going to enjoy that because we implement rules. So rule number 1 is my favorite. If I pass Mike the ball and Mike scores a layup, he's got to point and be like, I appreciate you.
Yep.
That's a good pass. Thank you. Another one is after I pass you the ball, I have to cut. I have to move. I can't just sit around and wait for you to give me the ball back. I have to make an actual basketball move. When we're getting back on defense, we got to point and call out our man.
Good.
So these are just like common basketball principles, but in a workout, I'm not even teaching that. And I'm working with high-level guys. I'm working with young kids, but I'm not teaching that because I don't have the opportunity to do it.
And really, like, it's just communication, right?
It's huge.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of basketball is communication. Defensively, offensively, how to talk to a teammate,
Sure.
how to encourage a teammate. You know, those things are important, even in life.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I started off a workshop. I was teaching for this professional organization, and it was early, right? So I got to break the fucking ice. And I was like, listen, communication's important, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, this is how I know I'm divorced. And the whole room's like, oh, fuck.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I'm just fucking with you guys. I'm married.
That's great.
But it got everybody like, fuck, all right, this is something special. And
No, it's important.
If you communicate effectively, you guys are going to be successful. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I think it's super important.
I mean, it's a little unrelated, but I watched the Monday Night Football game last night, and you see the Browns that are like, on paper, they're like an all-star team.
Yeah.
You know, they have like number 1 draft picks in every position on offense, and they scored 3 points. But all off season, they were out partying, or they were holding out, or they were not practicing because of something else.
Well, I want to hold up that Barstool picture this morning for the fantasy football player. I don't know if you guys saw it or not.
Which one?
So
were they carrying him to a trash bin?
He lost by fucking 1 point. And if you look at his score, your boy Baker Mayfield had -2 points.
Also, it cost them the win.
Cost him the fucking win.
Oh,
and the tie.
Yeah. I actually like Baker Mayfield. Maybe not as a quarterback, but like his personality, I think is contagious.
So Rex Ryan was digging it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they're having a little feud.
No, I like his perseverance and kind of his cocky attitude. You know, not arrogant, but cocky. You know?
I think it's good for the culture
that.
of sports, period. You know, it gives us, he's like a polished and cleaner Johnny Manziel, you know?
Unless you're a Jags fan.
Well, and something that I've always resonated with sports, especially as you get closer to the postseason, is like crunch time, you know?
Yeah.
And like with football, you only have 16 shots, like, to get to the playoffs, you know? So you really, like, you get extra scrutinized, where baseball, basketball.
Oh, it's a much longer season.
You play 100 plus games or something.
Yeah, what is baseball? 162, 180?
162,
yeah, that's sick, man.
So it is tough to keep that. I think like his style is a little more sustainable for a 16-game season, because I don't think you can just go out there, you know, 3 out of 7 nights out of the week and do that.
Yeah.
Hey boys, I don't know if about you, but I'm about ready for another one.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'll crack one. You ask the next question. And,
yeah,
and
perfect.
Bring it right
so
in.
I think you know, the clientels that you work with, that we work with, is I think it comes down for me as one of those things that I almost appreciate the younger guys.
Oh yeah.
Like the greener ones.
Well, be more specific. I thought about this coming here, and
know.
I figured you would ask this question.
Good.
But I know my answer, but you obviously have worked with all ages too, which is awesome.
Sure.
Tell me, be more specific when you say younger guys. Like, what are you?
We're gonna give you just because you got to
listen. I'm mixing the flavors.
Yes, sir.
As long as it's on the coaster.
So when I say younger, I think like a lot of this is skill development, right? Doesn't matter. We'll say teens, right? And I think the way that you do things, you lay the foundation properly, the fundamentals, like most people should.
Sure.
Especially at that age versus making it look fancy or making it whatever they see on ESPN at that point. And you know deep down that the foundation's the most important part, but they don't want to do that.
Yeah, of course not.
You know, so how do you get that point across to them? How do you keep them interested? And really, what's your message? Because that's kind of something that I struggle with.
So this is where I really think me going to school for hospitality and working at the country club was like a home run. And I think this is the one advantage I do have on every other person. And maybe somebody has the same skill as me. I don't know. But I would say that this is a slim thing to come by. You have to know who you're dealing with.
Sure.
You have to spend time with that person to know how they react. And that's also why I don't like coaching. Like, I mean, when I say coaching, I coach college, and I'm grateful for that experience. But I enjoy the intimacy of working with one guy. I get to know you. I know what you're about. I know what's going to push you. I know what's going to inspire you.
Yep.
And that's the way I kind of operate. I have to kind of know what kind of player I'm dealing with. If he's mentally tough, I'm going to dog him. I'm going to talk to him like he's a piece of trash.
Sure.
I'm going to say you're worthless.
Sure.
You don't have it in you. You don't want it bad enough.
Uh-huh.
You don't have any desire. You have no heart. You don't deserve to be on this floor. I'm going to talk to him like that.
Yep.
And that would be somebody like the kid Jacoby. I could talk to him like that. Now, when he was, 13, 14.
Can't break him down.
No, he's too young, right? And then his personality is not built like that. He was a laid-back kid. Now he has somewhat of a sense of urgency. I could dog him.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing in the ACC.
Right.
Like, the reason you're here is because you're playing against pros night in and night out. If you don't have it, go to another fucking school.
Even though this is college level, you're
think
doing
about that.
Yeah.
There's I couldn't even name off the top of my head. Too many White Claws. Duke, University of Miami, Wake Forest. The list goes on, right? Is it NC State is there?
NC State's there.
Yeah,
Clemson.
Clemson. You're talking about there are pros there night in and night out. If you don't have it, you don't belong there.
Yep.
But then there's other kids that don't have that, and maybe growing up, they didn't have like a stern foundation for them, and I could relate to that a little bit, you know. So I would say, listen, you're right there. Keep pushing, and I would spend more time giving positive praise, and then after a certain amount of, I feel like I've been positive enough, I'll say, but look, you did phenomenal all workout. But you need to get better at this. This is what's going to take you to the next level. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to get you closer to your goals. But you did great. So that it really depends on who you're talking to. I think that's
huge.
Some people, I think you get the most out of people when you understand them. And if you don't take that time to do it, you didn't do your job. You didn't do enough.
It's almost like being like a manager at like a workplace.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're not managing a point guard. You're managing that person, right?
Right.
Like you can't just look at it as a number or a position.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. That's why I said the bottom line is, and if you're in this business or another business where you deal with clients at a one-on-one level, you have to get to know that person. And your business will fail if that person doesn't trust you or if nobody trusts you.
Yep.
If you can't build that relationship and make them feel comfortable and confident that you know what you're talking about and you're going to bring them where they want to go, then you're not going to have any success.
I mean, you seem pretty comfortable and confident behind the microphone. I think we need to get you in here to start your own podcast, man.
I don't know about that.
Well, at the end of the day, results speak too. Opportunity is great, but if you don't succeed in that opportunity, that's not luck. It's you brought results.
Yeah, I think. This is another thing, man. When I worked at the country club, this guy's named Nick Jolly. He's like 6'8". He only played golf.
I was going to ask, did he back dudes down or
no,
what?
No.
Okay,
he only played golf. He knew nothing about basketball. It was 2 things that he taught me. It was one, when you walk with a purpose. This was my boss at the time. He wasn't telling me what to do. We were interviewing people, and he told me, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. And I'm like, he's fucking great. Like, this dude's shooting the shit with me. Jewish ladies will love this guy.
Right.
And he goes, no. He goes, he didn't walk with a purpose. And I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, when you're walking somewhere, I don't care if you're going to the toilet, you're going out the door, you're going to pick up your kids, you got to walk with a purpose.
I like him.
So I take that, like, that's the first thing I'll judge somebody. Is he walking with a purpose? That's like the first thing I'll scale off. When this kid came to the gym, are his shoes on? Did he stretch as soon as he got here? Is he walking in the gym? Is he locked in? Those are things I'm looking for when you're working with a high-level guy.
So I have a question for you that I've been wanting to ask because the other day, Dr. James Spencer beat me in a game of horse.
Okay.
And, if I wanted to get in touch with you to get better at basketball, how would I go about doing so? Because, I can't keep losing to this guy.
Listen, I'll help you win horse. So I have a website, www.dynastydrills.com.
Okay.
My biggest source of business has come from social media, and that's on Instagram and Twitter at Dynasty Drills.
Okay.
And then there you'll see my phone number, my Facebook. I really don't do Facebook. I probably should. There's probably a bigger market, more money sitting out there, but I've had success doing it the way I'm doing it. So you don't fix it unless it's broken.
And I mean, there's only so many hours in a day.
True.
You're doing it all yourself. We had a little talk before about social media and content creation, and it's almost a full-time job on its own.
It really is.
Well, I don't mean to cut you guys off. I was literally saying that earlier today. I said, at some point, this is almost a full-time job for somebody to handle this, especially if you're going to post 100 times a day.
Yeah, sure.
And we've talked about Gary Vee before the show as well, because you told me you're going to give me his book.
You got it.
So I'm holding you to that.
Done deal.
But we watched a video the other day, and he was saying, if I need 3 people, I need an accountant and a filmer and a social media person.
Yeah.
He's like,
no, it's the truth.
Whatever the 3 were, but it was basically content creation and social media were everything.
The most important.
Yeah, because nowadays, it's a saturated market, like you said, and you've got to stand out, and the easiest way to stand out is to be yourself and produce good content.
Well, I don't think people resonate so much with you being a basketball coach. They resonate with you as a person.
Yeah.
And they trust you as a person, and they go, hey, you're actually a really good basketball coach.
Yeah.
I'm going to hire you for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where word of mouth just proliferates from one athlete or one family to a next.
Sure.
And that's special, man. I think that's something that kudos to you for your business and the way that it's running, and the way that it's starting to blow up for you is really cool to watch.
Yeah, it's awesome. I enjoy it. I think I always tell these guys, there's some guys you do favors for, right? Like I told you, I'd sacrificed a good portion of my life and health to work with Jacoby at 5:00 in the morning. And I've said this to him before. I say the only thing I want in return is for, God forbid, the day I do pass away, is that you look at my son and you tell him everything I did for you.
That's special. Because
to me, the most important thing is your legacy. I remember when I was a kid, I would go to Staten Island to visit my father. Back then, he had a gym. It was called Evolution Fitness. It was a sick gym. But when I went there, the people would treat us like kings. Little did I know why they were treating us like kings.
Sure.
But I'm saying to myself, I go, man, I could come back here whenever I want, and people are always going to take care of me. And that's what I want for my kids. I want that for my son. I want people I want high character guys with good work ethic. If God forbid I'm not here, they say, you know what, I got to show up for Mike's son's birthday. I got to show up. I got to help him. He's getting into baseball. I got to show up. I got to help him. That's what I want. I want people to look out for my family the way I'm looking out for them.
That's respect, man.
Are your kids going to be athletes?
Definitely not. My wife is my wife might not even be able to stand over the top of this table.
You said she's Puerto Rican. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, she's petite, man. My wife is tiny. My mother-in-law is tiny. My father-in-law, thank God, is 6 foot, 6'1". Honestly, I make this joke. One of my best friends, he just had a baby with his wife, and he's going to be an athlete. I could already tell. My friend's not the most athletic, But combined, like this kid, he looks like a model or an athlete, or he's
That's because they got you too on the side.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, this is what we're going to do. I said, your son's going to be the athlete. My son's going to be the agent. I said, that's how it'll work out.
Done deal.
You know, but who knows? My son may be, I don't know what he's going to be into, man. But whatever. I'll support him.
Hey, but you've got to create that synergy, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
every athlete needs a coach and a
shit.
agent.
It's just like the other night we went to support one of our clients, and we went to their art exhibit, and it was really honestly for me to show my son, this is a possibility for you.
Yeah.
If this is what you want to pursue.
Yeah. It sounds like he has a creative mind, right?
Yeah.
From the way what you were telling me and what he's into.
Yeah. So I think, just giving them the opportunity to see what's possible.
Yeah.
Is really cool, and support that to the utmost.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm going to take that with me.
Yep.
I like that. It's a good nugget.
And sometimes you just got to get out there and show face, you know? Like, I mean, it's easy to talk, but,
shaking hands and kissing babies.
To jump in the car and drive an hour and change in rush hour traffic to go to an art exhibit, like
that's a big sacrifice.
Yeah,
right
like it's for sure. We're big believers in networking and meeting people and conversation, and like within 10 minutes of knowing you,
right?
Like I knew conversation and like punctuality and like being a stand-up person is like values that are resonate with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Then you said something about networking. I can't get it off of my mind. Have you guys ever been to the Chambers of Palm Beach? Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's like a massive networking event.
Like a BNI type of deal?
What's BNI?
Like business networking?
Oh, fuck. I should have known that.
What are those? What's the acronyms, bro?
You're offending me. No, it's basically like a big.
What did you say to me?
But I think for you guys, it would be terrific. Not to make the podcast, not to make this about you guys, but I want to share it. But for you guys, it'd be terrific. There's nothing but businesses and companies and individuals in there. I went to one. It was at the Breakers.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I don't know if you know, but obviously you probably do know, the Heat stayed down here for training camp, and they practiced at Kaiser, which is like a local school.
Yep.
And so I'm at this networking event for the Breakers, or at the Breakers with the Chambers of Palm Beach. Loads of people there. I see a couple people I know, and then I see a bunch of rich people, and I'm like, this looks fucking legit.
Yeah, you're at the Breakers, right?
Yeah, right? So the next thing I know, I see Jimmy Butler, who plays for the Heat, walking through the door. He walks right by me. And I go, fuck, I should have said something to him. And I always have had this problem, even though I work with professional guys that play in the same league as him. I got guys that have played on the same team as him or have guarded him, right?
Sure.
And this dude walks by me, and I'm like this. I'm like, oh shit, it's Jimmy Butler.
Starstruck.
So I call my best friend Nate, and I say, yo, Jimmy Butler just fucking walked by me. He goes, what are you calling me for? I said, I had to tell somebody. He goes, where'd he go? I said, he went to the bathroom. He says, go run in the fucking bathroom. Tell that guy you'll work him out. And I go, I can't do it. He goes, why not? You work out guys like this all the time. I'm like, I don't have an elevator pitch. I'm like 10 years into this game, and I don't have an elevator pitch.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's like, you need to go into the bathroom, time it properly, and just introduce yourself, tell him who you work with.
Dude, that's fucking respect.
Do you have to wait before the wiggle? Or
I'm like, yeah, when? I'm like, do I watch him pee? Do I pretend to pee? What if he finishes as I walk up? Do I say, oh, I didn't have to go?
You just hold the towels, hold the towels out for him.
So he's like, just go in there. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go. This is like always my voice of reason and like my confidence. I mean, I got stories with Nate where he's like challenged me to the max. I'm like, you're a fucking prick, but I'm glad you did that.
But thank you.
So
yeah.
I end up, so I'm like, yeah, he's in the bathroom. He's like, hang up the phone with me right now. I'm going to the bathroom and figure this thing out. So I'm like, all right. I walk over, go through the same door he goes through, and as soon as I walk in there, it's employees only. And I'm like, fuck, man, I lost my opportunity. It wasn't even the bathroom. So there it goes. Like, I think about that, and for the rest of my life, I'll remember that moment.
Yep.
Because I didn't strike when the iron was hot, and because I wasn't prepared for that opportunity, that'll never happen again.
Yep.
I've been working on elevator pitches on my way to work every single day. I'm like, I got to figure this thing out. Jimmy Butler, maybe he told me no, right? Yep. Maybe he tells me no, or maybe he takes down my number and says, yeah, listen, I was at the gym at 3:30 the other morning. Would you meet me at 3:30? I'll be there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
But because I wasn't prepared and I wasn't ready for that opportunity, literally, that's like the story of that moment. I think it's the bathroom. Mm-hmm. I have an opportunity. It passes me. I go to the bathroom. It's not even the fucking bathroom. It's a hallway that only he can go through. And I fucking blew it, So I think about times like that, and I'm like, I've only learned, this goes back to what my stepdad has taught me, is that you'll only learn from your own failures.
I'm gonna throw this out there. and I brought this up to my young athlete this week. The Chinese farmer.
Who's what's that story?
Mike? You
Yeah,
gotta you got to tell it. I mean,
I
I got to give you credit for that.
I shared an Alan Watts video, and he's like a philosopher or something from, I don't know, 100 years ago. And the concept of the Chinese farmer is that you never can conceptualize or understand if something is truly good or truly bad in the moment. And it's because there's so many implications and moving parts. And I could try to summarize it. I'm not going to nail it word for word.
I can help you if you need help.
But the way that the story goes is that there's a Chinese farmer, and one day his one horse runs away. And that night, all the neighbors come by and say, "My, that's terrible." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next day, that horse comes back, and it led a bunch of other wild horses back into his farm. So now he has a farm full of horses.
That's pretty sweet.
And all the neighbors come back, and they say, "That's amazing." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next day, his son tried to ride one of the wild horses, and his son fell off and broke his leg. And all the neighbors came by that night and said, "My, that's terrible." And he said, "Maybe." The next day, the military came to draft his son, and his son had a broken leg from falling off the horse. And all the neighbors came by that night and said, "Your son didn't get drafted. That's amazing." And he said, "Maybe." And it's just a cool story where just
that's fucking sweet.
You really never, like, in the moment, you really, and I don't know, it resonates with me because I named my wave photography company Ride the Tides, which is, to me, symbolizes never get too high, never get too low. You see it with the Lokai bracelets as well. It's like the bottom from the sand from the bottom of the ocean and melted ice from the top of the mountain. And it's just one of those things that it keeps you like even keeled.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember why you asked me to tell the story, but it's a beautiful story.
It's going back to the Jimmy Butler story about, you're like, oh, that was a big turning point in my life. Well, maybe.
No, you know what?
Maybe not.
After hearing that story, all I could think about is this. So that night, or I leave the event, and I call the breakers. I call my buddy and I go, "Yeah, I blew it." He said, "What happened?" And I said, "Yeah."
I know how that conversation went.
I said, "Listen, it wasn't even the bathroom. The guy ran out of the hallway." I was like, "I totally blew it." He said, "Yeah, you're worthless." And he said, "But listen, he said, I got a good idea. Go on your Instagram and message all these guys." And he says, "Message every single Heat player." And I've done this before, right? But not to this capacity.
Sure.
Like, I'm messaging Mickey Arison. Like, I'm messaging Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Like, I was going nuts. So I told him, I'm like, "Yo, you fired me up. I'm going to do it." I'm like, "It's done. I don't even care anymore." So I message every single guy. I'll show you the messages. I get 2 replies. Dion Waiters and Chris Silva. I sent the same, message in a sense, and I said, I'm so and so. I work out some NBA guys and some pro guys in West Palm. If you need a gym while you're down here for training camp at any hour, give me a ring. I've got the connections. If you need somebody to work you out or rebound, let me know. I'm there. I got it. Dion says
huge.
So Dion,
huge point right there.
Yeah. So Dion messages back, and it was real short and simple. Guy didn't even fucking reply. Think about it. It's Dion Waiters, right?
Right.
He replies to say, "I appreciate it. Thanks. I'll let you know." I message him back, no problem. Chris Silva messages me a couple days later, and he's not like an all-star any stretch of the matter. He's just a guy that's on the roster.
Sure.
But me, I work with anybody that's driven. When you're in that league, you're driven.
Sure.
So he messages me and says, "We just left Palm Beach. Sorry I didn't see this. If you're ever down in Miami, let me know." And I'm like, perfect. That's all I need to hear.
Connection.
I say, "You let me know when you're ready. I could be in Miami every night. I use University of Miami unless you have a facility you want to use." So that's it. We'll see where it stems from. But if, like you're saying, maybe if Jimmy didn't walk out of that door, would I have messaged everybody?
Nope.
No fucking way.
Nope.
Well, and just, I mean, if he said yes or no right in that moment, like, you would have no grasp of if that yes or no was ever good or bad.
True.
Right at that exact moment.
Yeah.
Well, and I think those are a lot of the, the Gary V isms that we've talked about earlier. Is like, well, we don't know what's going to happen if you go that direction.
Yeah.
And you can't worry about that.
No, you can't.
I love the gut instinct though. Like, I'm such like
hell yeah.
Impulse buyer.
Are you really?
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's a short life, and nothing's guaranteed, and you know, even just having a conversation with someone of his stature is just even a cool thing, you know.
Oh, it's a sweet
like you
opportunity.
instantly called your boy and you were like,
Yeah, I was like, couldn't even say anything to him. Like, he made eye contact. I'm with almost all the Heat guys.
Yeah.
Myers Leonard walks by me,
Yeah.
Justice Winslow, and I'm like, I'm with somebody else. I'm like, oh, it's not the right time. And then I'm walking out and I go, when is there ever going to be a right time for that? You know?
Then.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, you know, like you said, you're a little protege. Now you can share that knowledge with,
Oh, sure.
you know, our listeners.
Yeah.
Him. Like,
yeah, I would never. I told you, this is why I said an elevator pitch I will have. I'll never pass up on another basketball opportunity like that, or business opportunity, period. Because like you said, like, you're here today, gone tomorrow. The only thing I'm worried about is leaving my son a legacy.
Cheers.
You know? And if I don't do that.
So what do you think about Media Zone and what we've got set up here?
This is a sick setup. I'm honestly, if I could get the green light from my wife and you guys, I'd be here as every night that you guys got to host. I'm enjoying it. I love it. I think it's great. And I think there's definitely some good chemistry here, you know? So
yeah.
You guys are awesome.
I'll just say, like, unlike your basketball players, I'm not going to meet you here at 3 a.m.
That's cool. That's fine.
Although we do have 24/7 access.
Do you really?
Yep.
That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, so how long have you guys been set up here? Only 2 months?
Yeah, we got the keys in the start of July, and really our focus with the end of the summer and the start of the fall is to get the studio right and to get all the gear right and to start getting some people in here and really refining our craft.
Yep.
You know, we have experience in media production, but not in podcasting.
Right.
Correct.
And so for us, you know, it's every day. It's like, you know, you take one on the chin, you learn, you get better. And
yeah, true.
You know, you get a new microphone or you get a new light. And so for us, it's, you know, for me, it really is a dream come true because I've always, like, every day I just wake up and create stuff. It's just what I do.
Right.
And then this is like my best friend ever.
Yeah.
And he's into it. And we also have one other partner named Anthony, who is just like the coolest dude ever. And the three of us kind of like cover a lot of dynamics of Palm Beach County. Kind of have like a medical sports guy. We've got like an engineer builder, and we've got like a media production dude.
Yeah.
And like the three of us just, you know, I don't know, just mesh really well together.
Yeah. No, this place is awesome.
You know, and that's honestly, it's how we all met is just spreading the right message, doing the right things, the right values, holding the door for fucking people.
Yeah.
Something simple like that. You know, I think that's where you start to learn who the person really is from the values of them. And those are the people that I want to be in my circle or be around me and who I want to help promote.
Yeah. It's contagious though,
It is,
right?
it
Like
really
you want to
is.
be around that. Every day if I could wake up and just have a positive outlook on like what my day is going to be like, I love that. And to be around people like that, that's awesome.
I'll go out and say that I think a lot of people pay me a lot of money per hour just for 1 hour of positivity.
Yeah.
I may get them out of pain,
Right.
but I know that deep down it's the positivity that's probably getting them out of pain.
Oh, sure.
Like, yes, I have modalities, but being able to communicate effectively and be that voice of reason, because the other 23 hours is negativity for them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something special that I know I kind of pride myself on, to value that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you have to. I think you're right. I mean, that's just being able to build a relationship with somebody opens up another opportunity for you. And if you carry yourself with that kind of humility,
correct,
and positivity organically, what you're doing is going to spread.
And that's the message that our business has been built off of. A lot of word of mouth referrals. I know
Yeah.
that, you know, and it's to the point now where, hey, if you haven't been referred over by word of mouth, may not take you on as a client.
One of my biggest issues, and my wife could attest to this too, is that I never say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't say no. And then sometimes it'll end up getting me in trouble because I'll commit and then I'll back out. And that makes it even worse for me and my reputation, right?
Have you ever read the book, The Power of No?
No.
So I think it was Eckhart Tolle wrote the book, The Power of Now. And then James Altucher wrote the book, The Power of No. And it's something that I've definitely had the issue with. Like when I first started my business, I was a yes guy.
Yeah.
And now that I've said no, I've actually seen my value personally and professionally go up.
Really?
Personally in myself, I just value myself better.
From what book made you start to...
The Power of No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, hey, sometimes you got to say no more often. for you, for your family, like personally, sometimes it's better if I say no. Because if I say yes, I'm taking my time and energy away from something else.
Right.
And this something else actually may produce something better personally and professionally. Right. And monetarily. So it's also one of those things when you can say no. I've seen my value go up financially.
Right.
You know, but if I said yes to everything, now you're the guy that's just like, oh yeah, we can call him anytime and he'll be there.
Right.
And I think that's something powerful and something too that the listeners really need to start resonating with. Value your time.
Yeah, I think you're right for sure.
Mike, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast today.
No, I loved it, man.
Boys,
You have sweet.
I need you to give out one more shout of how everyone can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna chug that with you.
You can't drink and or clink and not drink.
True.
What is it?
Well, I just
Is there
said
a slogan for
you
that?
can't clink and not drink.
Yeah. So
But we have a new cheers thing, which is new drink, new clink.
New drink, new clink. I like
yeah,
that.
it's every
Yeah,
round.
Solid.
Just have a cheers.
Yeah, so you could find me on Instagram at Dynasty Drills, on Twitter at Dynasty Drills, and then on my website, www.dynastydrills.com. And that's it.
Beautiful.
Mike, thanks again, man. Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
for your time.
Awesome.
No, thanks for having me, man.
We'll
Sick.
see you back in here soon.
I
think.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Cheers.
I'll help
Thank you.
co-host. You got it. Thank you.